Before we go out and we purchase stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, commodities like gold and silver, all these things that have risk but growth opportunity, before we do that, it's wise to get a principal protected, growing foundation underneath the rest of that structure. Hey folks, Colin Richards here, and I am excited to once again be with you on this segment of the Lord and Richards Show. And we've been talking in the last couple of segments about financial tools that you can use in your portfolio to provide greater stability and lower risk, all while continuing to have the opportunity of the market. And whatever the tool is, whether it's annuities or other principal protected tools, I want you to visualize your financial future in terms of a fiscal house, a house that you might build. Just like dividend stocks or annuities or any other type of financial tool that generates income is not an income plan, so lumber out in your front yard is not a house. Those are the pieces that we must use along with other pieces to create a fiscal house that has a strong foundation, great walls, and a roof that protects you on the top. As a foundational principle, when you design a comprehensive financial plan so that you can go into retirement with the greatest certainty possible that you will never run out of money, the first step is to get your foundation in place. That may involve getting some cash in the bank. We call that an emergency fund at Lord and Richards, and we think everybody should have them, whether you're younger, whether you're older, whether you're during your working years or already retired. Everybody needs a cash reserve for the necessities of life. Typically, we recommend about 3 to 6 months of your expense budget. Once you get that cash in place, it's important that we move on to other foundational tools that are still protected, but give you the opportunity for growth. We've heard of bank products called CDs. They're protected. You set a term, and based on the length of that term, you get a fixed interest rate. And at the end of that term, you can leave the CD. Whether it's 6 months or 5 years, it's a savings time deposit for your money. And the interest rates are guaranteed, and generally, there are no fees. So that's a foundational item that could be utilized. We've talked in other episodes about fixed annuities, which are just like CDs in these ways. You have protection of principal, guaranteed interest, and no need to pay a fee, all in exchange for taking a certain amount of time to be less liquid with that money. Again, foundational. And I know some of us might run from the idea of being less liquid, but honestly, what you really want from your money is not the ability to withdraw it all and spend it in a day. What my clients are telling me they're looking for is to be able to stretch that money over a lifetime. To have access, yes, but not necessarily need so much access that we miss out on the more important factors, which are safety of principal and opportunity of growth. Now, what else can we add in there? Well, once we start looking at the need for income in retirement, once we start looking at the need for a greater portion of our portfolio to begin to grow more in retirement, now we're going to have to surpass the abilities of fixed annuities, bank CDs, and of course cash. Now we have to move into principal protected, market-linked categories. And as we discuss the foundation in this segment, recognize that there are places for at-risk investments in your fiscal house. As we move up the walls and to the roof, there are ways that we can take calculated risk with our portfolio and yet still not run the risk of harpooning your financial independence in retirement. It's about getting that risk into boundaries. But before we go out and we purchase stocks, bonds, mutual funds, ETFs, commodities like gold and silver, all these things that have risk but growth opportunity, before we do that, it's wise to get a principal protected, growing foundation underneath the rest of that structure. And so as we utilize an annuity or a CD or cash for protection, we can continue to do that in the foundational category that involves growth, greater growth than you can get with those three vehicles. We can now take your guaranteed interest off of that annuity or that CD, and we can trade it in for the opportunity to earn potentially more. My clients that are utilizing principal protected market linked tools like this, whether annuities, CDs, or other tools, are finding that they're generally able to greatly outstrip the low guaranteed interest rates of the past on principal protected investments. When we combine this into your portfolio, it has the effect of maintaining a good, reasonable growth rate, but eliminating downside risk. You say, well, that sounds expensive, Colin. Well, actually, it doesn't have to be. You can actually implement any of these tools without any fees coming out of your portfolio. You say, how do they do that? Well, let's take a simple savings account. Today, if you move banks, you could probably get 3 or 4%. So how does your bank make money if they don't charge you a fee on that savings account? Well, it's pretty simple. They take out a little bit of the money that they earned interest on, and they give you the balance. That little bit of money is called a spread, the difference between what they earned on their portfolio and what they paid out to you on your CD, fixed annuity, or other principal protected investment. So they've already made their fee, usually 1 to 1.5%. So if they're paying you at your bank, Bank XYZ down on the corner, 4%, they may be making as much as 5.5% on their portfolio. And then when they deduct their profits and charges, you get 4%. You say, well, that doesn't sound nice. I don't like them deducting my interest. Well, that would just mean that you would have to take responsibility for your zero risk portfolio and still try to get returns. Very hard to do. As a matter of fact, the leverage that a bank or an annuity or an insurance company can deploy is vastly greater than what you can do as an individual. So most people find that that compromise of letting them take a little interest off the top is in their best interest. For you and me, it really involves sitting down and having an intelligent conversation, a meaningful conversation about how you feel about risk, how sturdy, how strong, how risk-free your foundation needs to be in your fiscal house before we come on and add other layers, which we will discuss in future segments, to complete your entire financial house and your retirement roadmap. Our goal at Lord & Richards is to get you all the way through retirement with plenty of reserves, never cutting it close, never looking at bouncing the last check, but able to meet all the needs, all the goals, all the dreams that you, and if you're married, your spouse, have shared with us. It's a simple process we call a financial independence review, and I and my team would love to have the opportunity to sit down and talk to you, whether by phone, Zoom, or in person. It starts by reaching out and making a simple phone call.